Hello, welcome. This is your English language lessons for upper basic level, and the topic we have today is direct and indirect speech. Okay, we have direct and indirect speech. Now, what is a direct speech and what is an indirect speech? Now, sometimes when people make statements, we always want to report what they say. Okay. Now, if you want to report what somebody has already said, you can either use one of these two. You can either use a direct speech or an indirect speech. Now, what is a direct speech? Now, a direct speech is writing down or reporting the actual words that were said by a speaker. Now, mark this particular statement, the actual words that were said by a speaker. Now, if somebody said something and you want to report it, you can use a direct speech. That is, you actually say exactly the words that the speaker used. Okay? Now, how do you do this? When we use a direct speech in writing, we replace the words spoken between quotation marks. Okay? We have to put them in between quotation marks. The exact words of the speaker are put in between quotation marks. Now, this is what we mean by quotation marks. Okay? These are quotation marks. You put them in quotation marks to make sure, or to tell your reader or your listener that these are not your actual words, but they are the actual words of the speaker, of the original speaker, what the speaker said. Okay? And there is no change in these words. You don't add anything, and you don't reduce anything from the statement of the speaker. Okay? So if you write or you report a statement in this way, we say you are using a direct speech. Okay? I repeat, a direct speech is writing what exactly somebody said using their actual words. Now remember, don't forget to write the quotation marks to enclose a direct speech. Okay? Direct speeches are always enclosed by quotation marks. Good. Now, look at these examples. Example 1. I don't like carrots, she explained. Now, you can see that I don't like carrots is put in quotation marks to show that this is exactly the words, or these are exactly the words that she said. Okay? Example 2. I am waiting for the bus, he said. So I am waiting for the bus is the exact words of the speaker. Okay? So when reporting it, we have to put them in quotation marks to show that they are not our actual words, but they are the actual words of the original speaker. I have found a $10 note, she said. Okay? Now, this also is the direct speech of the original speaker. I have found a $10 note. He said, I've been standing here for ages. That's also another example. Now we have example 5. He said, I will bring in my homework on Friday. I will bring in my homework on Friday is put in quotation marks. I shall be celebrating my birthday on the 29th of October, she said. Okay? So those were her actual words. I shall be celebrating my birthday on the 29th of October. I would love to have a go, he said. Okay? I would love to have a go is the exact words the speaker used. So when reporting it, we don't want to omit anything, or we don't want to add anything. We just use it in that way, and that exactly represents a direct speech. But remember the quotation marks. Okay? When are you leaving? He asked. Okay? That's example 8. When are you leaving? He asked. So that is exactly some examples of direct speech. Now we move to the indirect speech. Now, another way we can report what somebody has just said, or what somebody said in the past, is by using an indirect speech. What is an indirect speech? Now, another way we can report what somebody said is by using the indirect speech. Now, one may ask, what is an indirect speech? An indirect speech basically is used to report what someone said without speech marks and without necessarily exactly using the same words just like the original speaker said. Now, that is exactly the opposite of a direct speech, okay? An indirect speech is otherwise called a reported speech. Now, when you report what somebody said in the indirect speech form, you don't use quotation marks, okay? You don't use quotation marks, and you don't have to say exactly the way he said it. There are some grammatical changes that occur in an indirect speech, okay? Now, reported or indirect speech is usually used to talk about the past, all right? Now, because what that individual said, the original speaker has said, has already passed, okay? That is why when reporting it, you always usually have to use the past tense to report their statements. We use reporting verbs like say, tell, ask, okay? And we may use the word that to introduce the reported words. For example, when you say, okay, fine. So if I want to report this in a reported form, in a reported speech, I would eliminate the quotation marks and say it in a reported form, like mother asked, okay? Now, when it is in the form of a question, I would have to use if or whether, okay? Mother asked if I would be going to the wedding. Now you can see that this is the reported form, okay? This is the reported form. Mother asked if I would be going to the wedding. Now you can see that will has changed to would because I am reporting what has already been said, okay? Mother asked if I would be going to the wedding. Now this is the reported form and this is the direct speech, okay, with quotation marks. Now, when you report a question, when a question is reported, you don't need the question mark anymore, okay, because this is no longer a question, but it is a reported question, so it is seen as a statement. It is no longer a question. Good. Now, examples of indirect speech, okay? Now, just like we had in a direct form, now we can change all those examples we previously looked at in the direct speech to indirect speech. Now look at example 1. She explained that she didn't like carrots. Now this is the reported form of I don't like carrots, she explained. He said he was waiting for the bus, okay? It is the reported speech. It is the reported form of the direct speech we looked at, which says, I am waiting for the bus, he said, okay? Example 3. She said she had found a $10 note. This is the reported form. He said, example 4, he said that he had been waiting there for ages. Now you can see example 5. He said he would bring in his homework on Friday. Example 6. She said she would be celebrating her birthday on the 29th of October. Okay, example 7. He said he would love to have a girl. And example 8. He asked us when we were leaving. Good. So all these are examples of reported speech. When we looked at the direct speech, we looked at their direct forms where the quotation marks were used, okay? But here in this in this form, they are in the reported form. That is in the reported or the indirect speech form, where no quotation marks are used and all the verbs are used in the past form. Okay? Now let's look at how to change a direct speech to an indirect speech. When changing a direct speech to an indirect speech, there are so many things that you consider. Okay? There are so many things that you consider. Things like time expressions, words like yesterday, tomorrow, next week, last month, and so on. When you have them in a direct speech, then they have to change to the most suitable time expression at the time when you are reporting them. Now, look at this example. The meeting will be held tomorrow. The meeting will be held tomorrow, he said. Okay? Now, this is a direct speech. These are the actual words that were mentioned or that were said by him. Okay? The meeting will be held tomorrow, he said. Now, the time expression that is on this particular statement is the word tomorrow. But when we are reporting it, we can no longer use the word tomorrow. Okay? If we use tomorrow, that means our time reference will not be correct. Okay? Therefore, the word tomorrow has to change to the following day or the next day. Okay? So we would say, he said the meeting would be held the following day. Period. Okay? He said the meeting would be held the following day. So you can see that tomorrow has changed to the following day, meaning at that particular time when he was saying it, the meeting was going to be held the following day or the next day. Okay? So we can no longer use tomorrow when we are reporting a statement. Okay? So tomorrow changes to the following day or the next day. Now, look at another example here. Okay, the patient was discharged yesterday. Said, okay, the doctor. Okay, now this is a direct speech, all right? And these are the exact words of the doctor. The patient was discharged yesterday. Now, if you want to change this to an indirect speech or to a reported speech, we will have to say, the doctor said, or we can say said that the patient was discharged the previous day. Okay? So we can see that the changes that have taken place here in this sentence is the time reference or the time expression, that is yesterday, has changed to the previous day. Okay? Has changed to the previous day. Okay? So we would have the doctor said that the patient was discharged the previous day. Okay? So this is very important when you are reporting a statement. Another thing that you need to take care of when you are reporting a statement is when you have this afternoon, in the direct speech, this afternoon, for example, has to change to that afternoon, okay? Because distance in time always have to be factored, okay? Because this afternoon, when it is mentioned in a direct speech, it was because it was there at that moment. But now, it has gone maybe up to, it has passed, all right? That particular time is no longer valid. So you have to change it to that afternoon to show that it has already gone. It has already passed, okay? So this afternoon has to change to that afternoon. For example, the first flight will arrive this afternoon, okay? He explained. Then if you want to report that statement, you would say, he explained that the first flight would arrive that afternoon, okay? Now, another changes that happen with regards to time expression is last week will change to the previous week, okay? And now also changes to then. For example, she is the principal now, she said, okay? She is the principal now, she said. Now, she said she was the principal then, okay? So now changes to then in the reported speech, okay? Now, we continue. Now, when you are changing a direct speech to an indirect speech, pronouns changes as well. Pronouns change as well. Now, the first person singular, that is I, okay? I changes to the third person singular, that is he or she. For example, when you say, I am hungry in the direct speech, okay? I am hungry, okay? Said the little boy. Said the little boy. Okay? These are the actual words of the little boy. I am hungry. So when we are reporting this, we don't need to use the pronoun I again, okay? Because the little boy is not the one speaking now, all right? The little boy used the first person singular because he was referring to himself. But when you want to relay what that boy said, or you want to report what that boy said, you will have to use the third person singular, that is he, okay? Then if you want to change this to an indirect speech, you would say, the little boy said, the little boy said he, okay? So this I has changed to he, okay? He was hungry, okay? The little boy said he was hungry, or the little boy said that he was hungry. Now, the pronoun we, that is the first person plural, also changes to the third person plural, okay? Good. So you can understand this connection. First person singular changes to the third person singular. First person plural changes to third person plural as well. Look at this example. We have completed the assignment, the children said, okay? We have completed the assignment, the children said. So when we want to report that statement that the children said, that is, we have completed the assignment, then it should be the children said that they have completed the assignment, okay? Now, look at the last example there. You changes to us or me, okay? You, in an object form, changes to us or me. I like you, my teacher told me. So I want to report this, if I want to write this in a reported speech, I would say, my teacher told me that she likes me, okay? She likes me. So you changes to me, okay? So we move on. Good. So another pronoun that changes is the word who, okay? Is the word who. Who changes to anyone, okay? For example, who can lift this box? Mother asked. So when I want to report that, who can lift this box? Then we would say, or it should be, mother asked if anyone could lift this box, okay? Mother asked if anyone could lift this box, okay? Then our changes to their. Our office opens 12 hours a day, said the manager, okay? Our office opens 12 hours a day, said the manager. So watch the word our and look at how it changes to there. The manager said their office opens 12 hours a day. Good. Now, that is precisely how it works, okay? We can report what somebody said by either using the direct speech. When we say the direct speech, in summary, is just the actual words of the speaker. You report what somebody said by using the actual words, okay? However, you have to remember that when you are using the direct speech form, you always have to use the quotation marks, okay, to show that these are the actual words of the speaker. Now, if you want to report what somebody said using a reported speech, you don't need quotation marks, okay? You don't need to use the quotation marks. Now, let's look at the activity, okay? We have activity 1. Now here it says, change the following sentences from a direct speech to an indirect speech. So we have 5 sentences here that we are to change from a direct speech form to an indirect speech form. So what you need to do is, you go through the steps, okay? Go through the examples given earlier, and then try to see if you can change these 5 sentences in the direct speech form to the indirect speech form. Now the first one said, he said, I live in the city center, okay? Number 2, she said, I can swim. Number 3, my uncle will buy a car tomorrow. And number 4, I haven't seen them since last week, she said. And number 5, will there be any games today? He asked, okay? Now, good. So these are the corrections, okay? These are the corrections of activity 1. Now, if you have done the activity, compare your answers with these corrections you have. He said that he lived in the city center. That is the indirect speech form. Number 2, she said she could swim. Okay. Number 3, the answer is he said his uncle would buy a car the next day. She said she hasn't seen them since the previous week. Number 5, he asked if there would be any games that day. All right. Now, we have activity 2, okay? Change the following sentences from a reported speech to a direct speech. Now, these are reported speeches. So, you have 5 of them, and you are asked to change them to a direct speech. Now, you have number 1. She said she was alone in her room. Okay? So, you have to change it to a direct speech. What are the actual words that she said? Number 2, she said her husband was not at home that day. Number 3, she said that her children were fast asleep. And number 4, she said that a stranger entered her room. And number 5, she said that she woke up and discovered that her money was missing. Good. So these are to be changed to a direct speech form. Okay? Good. So you can see how they are changed. Now you compare your answers to these and see if they are the same. I was alone in my room, she said. My husband is not at home today, she said. My children were fast asleep, she said. She said, a stranger entered my room. Okay. Number 5, I woke up and discovered that my money was missing, she said. So these are the corrections, and check them against your work. If you have any different answer, you can change it. Okay. And thank you for watching. Bye.